something that can only be done if you're not thinking right. But you know what? History tells us that great men and great women often get seen as not thinking right. Why would a man sit in prison for 27 years if the only thing he needed to say is, I am sorry, and get out? And he didn't. Why would Martin Luther King die fighting for people who are cleaning toilets when he could have got a whole lot of money, live very comfortably in Atlanta, and die an old man? I'm not even trying to compare myself to this, just to learn that sometimes crazy people are the ones who change the world. Now, I deal with Masai. I seriously think that we are each called to do something, whether it's within our own household, within our local community, within our county, in the US, or within our state, country, and world. And so what I am doing is responding to what I call a very powerful pull that calls me to service. As my friend Ladu said, I have tried to serve wherever I have been. But the time comes when you have to ask yourself, am I running at 25%, 50%, or 100% capacity? And when I asked that question relative to Nyamira County, my answer was I was not running high enough. Because as we speak, my people, my cousins, my uncles, I don't have parents anymore, but my immediate relatives who are still surviving, they're still dying because they can't find clean water to drink. My younger brothers and sisters, if I had younger brothers and sisters, are still trying to study using sunlight. This is the 21st century. In Nyamira County, children are having to rely on sunlight to do homework. Our farmers are sitting on the road waiting for a vehicle that will never come because the road is so bad that a 10-mile trip is an all-day adventure. In the meantime, what am I doing in Brooklyn Park? Sitting watching the Vikings every Sunday in an air-conditioned home. And thinking I'm very successful. So, 2 years ago, I asked and answered this question: what am I doing? And I said, not enough. And I called a few friends and asked them if they have the same struggle. And that is when we set up what we call New Dawn Foundation and Trust. The whole idea was to create a vehicle through which we can ask ourselves if we are doing enough. It started initially as a 501c3, but our goal was to look at what we can do back in Africa. And we identified 3 countries because we were all from 3 different countries: Kenya, Liberia, and Zimbabwe. And when we talked about each one of us, I think we were 5, each one of us listed the challenges that we see in those countries. They were remarkably similar. You know, the thing I just described about Kenya, children in poverty, corruption, were all the same. You would have thought it's the same country. And we said, I think we have something we can do here. We diagnosed, we are not doctors, doctors here, but we diagnosed that Africa's problem started and ended with leadership, poor leadership. And therefore, in order to fix Africa's problems, you don't start with the symptoms, you start with the real problem, it's leadership. How do we do that? We don't want to go cause coups all over the country. We don't want to disrupt what's going on, but we can begin organically building systems that will actually support good leadership. That is when we started the experiment that we are on now. We said, rather than preach from rooftops about good governance, we will go in and demonstrate. So I went into Nyamira County as an experiment to show that we can back the trend, that we can do things a little different. And if that works, then the other countries can also follow. And a little later, of course, my friend from South Sudan joined in. So now the New Dawn Foundation is dreaming in 4 African countries. So I was given then the job of figuring out how that works on the ground. How does that translate into what we're talking about? In Nyamira County, I said, we're going to start a movement. The movement in Kisi, that is our language, is called Bwakire Nyamira 2022. And that's, I'm going to very quickly describe what that is. Bwakire in Kisi means it's a new dawn. That is why our foundation is called New Dawn. It's a new day. Forget about the terrors and the scares of the night. It's a new day. And we said that in order for us to reimagine a new Nyamira County, we have to think of this in threes. I have 3 sons. I like 3 things. Every time I do things, it's always in threes. So we said it's going to be a mathematical formula. And it goes like this. Bwakire equals to 1, new ideas. In other words, you cannot solve a problem if you're doing the same thing over and over again. Somebody called it insanity, expecting different results. So we have to have new ideas. That's the first point. Then we say, Bwakire equals to bold ideas. In other words, we have to think beyond an election cycle. We have to think 10, 15, 30, 40 years from today. We have to imagine a county that is very different from what we have now. I give the example of the interstate system in this country. You know, at the time, this country was really wild until somebody figured out that connecting Milwaukee to St. Paul and Chicago and other cities would change the country. So I'm asking the people of Nyamira to reimagine what it would be. These places where kids can barely see, and we're going to build a modern county that has all the good things that we go to seek all over the world. Good hospitals, good roads. It can be done, but you need a leader who can see beyond 10 years. So I often say that I'm going to be governor for 10 years, but what I'm going to do would last 100 years. That's a bold vision in my view. Final part of the equation is called fresh faces. In other words, we have to essentially clean the slate, because there are people who have been running for some kind of public office since I was in Standard 2, and I'm almost 50 years old. They've been around, they've been recycled back and forth, they've become this, they've become that. Every time, if you wake me up and ask me, who do you think is in office? If I get just blab one word, it will be right. So we said no. If we're going to have a new, brighter county, we have to get rid of these faces that are tired. And believe it or not, those of you come from Kenya, if you look at the picture of Nyamira leadership, they are literally tired. You can see it. 2 tired old men. So we said, here's how we're going to do it. Fresh face number 2 is me. Never been in public office in Kenya, as fresh as it comes. Fresh face number 2, we have committed in public and everywhere that my deputy governor is going to be a woman. So the face of Nyamira government is going to be completely new and fresh. Then now we can talk about building a county where even girls can see themselves as leaders, because the deputy governor is a woman.